We bought the house in late October, built in the 1940s. Quiet rural neighborhood about 30 minutes outside the city. It wasn't our dream home, but it was affordable, and after the miscarriage, we needed a fresh start somewhere that didn't feel haunted by hospital bills and sympathy casseroles. Ironic, I know. The previous owners left in a hurry. That's what the realtor said. Divorce. Messy situation. They didn't take much with them, just clothes and essentials. The basement still had shelves lined with old mason jars. The attic was packed with boxes labeled in thick black marker. Winter, tax records, Emily's things. There was no Emily listed on any paperwork. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. You don't realize how loud your old home was until you move somewhere new. Different creaks, different airflow, the kind of silence that presses against your ears. At 3:42 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like a door closing downstairs. Not slamming, just clicking shut. I checked my phone. 3:42. My wife, Hannah, slept beside me. I lay there listening. Old houses settle, I told myself. Still, I grabbed my phone and opened the security app. I'd installed 2 cameras earlier that day, one facing the front door, one in the living room aimed toward the hallway and staircase. The hallway camera feed was black. Disconnected. I frowned. Refresh. Still black. Then it flickered back on. The view wasn't centered on the staircase anymore. It was angled sharply left, pointing down the dark hallway toward the basement door. I felt a cold prickle climb my spine. I hadn't adjusted that camera, and it wasn't a motorized model. I went downstairs. Every step creaked louder than it had earlier. The living room felt colder. The hallway light was off. The basement door was closed. Locked. I checked the camera. Still firmly mounted. No sign it had been touched. I told Hannah it was a glitch. I almost believed it. The second night, it happened again. 3:42, door sound. Camera shift. This time, when I opened the app, the camera had turned even farther. It was aimed directly at the basement door, and the basement door was open. Just a crack. Blackness inside. I froze. I knew I had locked it. I remember twisting the old brass knob and testing it twice. My mouth went dry. I didn't go downstairs that night. I watched the feed for 10 minutes. Nothing moved. At 3:51, the basement door slowly eased shut. No hands. No sados. Just a slow, deliberate motion until it clicked. The next morning, the door was locked. From the outside, Hannah started noticing things too. Small things. Cabinet doors slightly open. Her jewelry box lid lifted. A faint smell of damp earth in the hallway. I feel like someone's watching me when you're at work, she admitted one afternoon. She tried to laugh it off, but her fingers trembled around her coffee mug. I told her it was stress. We were both still fragile. Lost as that to you. It hollows out the quiet parts of your mind and fills them with worst-case scenarios. Still, I added another camera. This one in the basement. If something was happening, I wanted proof. That night, I stayed awake. 3:42. The upstairs bedroom door creaked open. Not all the way, just enough to let the hallway light slice across our floor. Hannah stirred. Did you get up? No. We both stared at the doorway. Slowly it closed again. The house exhaled. I grabbed my phone. The living room camera had shifted again, tilted fully down the hallway. The basement camera feed was active. Nothing at first, then static. A flicker, and in the far corner of the basement, near the old shelves, something darker than the shadows. A shape, too tall, too still. I leaned closer to the screen. The shape twitched. Not a step, not a sway. A twitch, like a corrupted video frame. Hannah whispered, "What is that?" Before I could answer, the basement camera cut out. The living room camera jerked violently, as if struck. Then both feeds went black. The police came the next day. They searched the house. Basement, attic, crawl space. No intruders. No signs of forced entry. No hidden rooms. "You sure you didn't bump the cameras installing them?" one officer asked gently. I didn't argue. But that night, I downloaded the footage, frame by frame. At 3:42, every night, the camera didn't glitch. It didn't shift. It rotated, in tiny increments, as if something was gripping it, turning it, millimeter by millimeter. And in one frame, Just one, you could see fingers. Long, gray, wrapped around the edge of the lens. Hannah wanted to leave. I didn't blame her, but we couldn't afford to break the mortgage. So we compromised. We would stay one more week. If anything else happened, we'd go. The activity escalated. Footsteps upstairs when we were downstairs. Soft knocking inside the walls. The basement door opening at random times of day. And always 3:42, like clockwork. On the fifth night, I decided to wait in the basement. I set up a chair in the corner opposite the shelves. Lights off. Phone recording. 3:40. Nothing. My heart pounded so loud I was sure it would drown out anything else. 3:41. The temperature dropped. Not dramatically, just enough that I could see my breath. 3:42. The basement door upstairs creaked open. I heard it clearly, but I was alone down there. Then, a sound behind me. Soft scraping, like fabric dragging across concrete. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. The air felt thick, pressurized. The scraping stopped, and a voice, right next to my ear, whispered, "You brought her back." I spun around. Nothing. The shelves stood empty. Dust drifting lazily in the beam of my phone's flashlight. I bolted upstairs. Hannah was sitting upright in bed, eyes wide. "You were talking," she said. "I heard you talking to someone." "I wasn't," I breathed. "You said we didn't mean to." Over and over. The final night came sooner than expected. Hannah woke up screaming. I jerked upright. She was pointing at the corner of the room. "There's someone standing there." The corner was empty, but the air shimmered, like heat waves off asphalt. The bedroom door slowly opened, and from the hallway, we heard footsteps, heavy, measured, coming toward us. One step, two, three. They stopped just outside the room. The house groaned. Every cabinet downstairs slammed open at once. The security alarm shrieked. Lights flickered, and in that flicker, I saw her, not in the corner, in the doorway. A woman, sunken eyes, skin stretched too tight, head tilted at an impossible angle. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Hannah. "You brought her back," she repeated. Hannah clutched my arm so hard it hurt. "What does that mean?" she sobbed. The woman smiled, and her body folded, not like falling, like paper collapsing in on itself. She flattened into the floorboards. Gone. Silence. The time on my phone glowed. 3:43. We left the next morning. Didn't pack everything. Didn't clean. Just left. 2 days later, I went back alone to retrieve the rest of our things. The house felt smaller, quieter. I avoided the basement, avoided the hallway. As I unplugged the security cameras, I hesitated. Then I checked the footage from the last night. At 3:42, the living room camera showed the hallway, the bedroom door opening, Hannah and I frozen in the doorway. And behind us, standing at the end of the hall, was a little girl, maybe 7 years old, pale, wearing a hospital gown. She was holding Hannah's hand, except Hannah wasn't holding anything. The girl looked directly into the camera and smiled. The basement camera flickered on for one final frame. The tall shape stood in the corner again. But now, it wasn't alone. There were two of them, one tall, one small, and the timestamp glitched. 3:42, 3:42, 3:42, over and over. We later learned something the realtor never disclosed. The house's previous owners had a daughter, Emily. She died in her sleep. Cardiac arrest, a rare complication no one saw coming. They tried to move on, but neighbors reported screaming at night, lights turning on by themselves. The family left 3 months later. Divorce followed. They never spoke publicly again. Hannah is pregnant now. We moved states, different time zone, different life. Last night, she shook me awake. "It's happening again," she whispered. I checked the clock. It was the same hour, and from the baby monitor on her nightstand, though the crib is still empty, came the faint sound of breathing. Not ours. Slow, steady, waiting. Subscribe for more chilling tales.